Carl?
All right.
Carl going to be here?
No, he's out.
Oh, he's out of
He's
town
out.
too.
Rich is out. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to call to order the Town of Lunenburg Conservation Commission meeting for August 15th, 2018. We'll do a roll call. Richard Birch is absent. Todd Dwyer, I'm here. Bob Pease. Present. Katie Childs. Present. Jack Rabbit. Here. Ken Jones. In the flesh. And Carl Luck is also absent. In accordance with the requirements of the open meetings law, please be advised that this meeting is being video recorded. Any announcements from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say that on last Sunday, I believe it was, we had the sign unveiling, and we had a large group of people at the pollinator habitat on Hollis Road. It was well attended, and it was nice to see so many people out there on a Sunday morning enjoying the piece of property that we have on Hollis Road. So great turnout, and hopefully there'll be something in the paper about it at some point.
Very good. Any other comments from the commission? Any comments from the public? With that, I will get to our first hearing. We're going to call, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public meeting on a request for determination by Loretta Godfrey for the placement of a deck at 55 Spring Street.
There's the entire historical file on that.
Thank you.
Good evening. Steve Marsden from Marsden Engineering representing Loretta.
Yep.
We did a full notice of intent for the reconstruction of the home, and he wants to put a deck on the front, and at Matt's suggestion, we filed an RFDA just for the deck. It's a small deck, 5 foot by 8 foot.
Yep.
As you can see from these pictures, we're going to cantilever it off the house.
Okay.
So there's no posts going down on the ground, no earthwork, no anything.
How far off the ground will it be, sir?
It's second story, so it's
Quite a
10
ways.
feet off the ground. Yep.
All right. Any questions from the commission?
I participated in the site visits this past Saturday and went and looked at it. It has absolutely no impact on any wetlands. It's never touches the ground, and so.
All right.
When I spoke to Mr. Marsden about this, we both felt it would just be prudent to be cautious, just to have it on record so that we had a record of the deck.
Great.
With everybody, all the boats going by, didn't want anybody to say we didn't file.
All right. Are there any comments from the public on this? No comments from the public. I will accept a motion for a -3 determination for the deck.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Steve. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Keep that to the
All right.
file. Great. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public meeting on a request for determination by Gene Clark for the grading to accommodate a septic system at 986 Fisher Road.
So I got the assessor cards.
Can you state your name and...
Oh, yeah. My name is Dan Romero from David E. Ross Associates.
Thank you.
And would you like to have this displayed probably?
Yes, please.
And this is for you guys. Yeah.
One in this file.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry about that. Getting this up. So, as I stated, my name is Dan Romero from David E. Ross Associates, representing Gene Clark, who lives on Fisher Road, for an upgrade for a failing existing sewage disposal system. So the unique aspect of this project is that the house is located in Fitchburg, while the sewage disposal system is located in Lunenburg. And we've contacted the Conservation Commission of Fitchburg, and they've given us a negative determination on their portion of the work. So on the Lunenburg side, we have a site that is relatively flat near the house and system and slopes down toward the wetlands in the back. And the proposed system is located in the same location as the failing existing system. So we've proposed in this case a Presby Enviro septic system. You may be familiar with that technology already. And this is just to keep a lower profile and minimize grading going toward the wetlands. And the whole site is pretty much covered by the 100-foot buffer zone from those wetlands in the back. And the system itself is
That's highlighted on your plan, and that's adjacent to Fisher Road?
Yes, this line right here is the 100-foot buffer zone, and this is the 50-foot buffer zone. And this is the portion that's in Fitchburg. This is the town line right there. So the system itself is located 69 feet from the wetlands, and all components of the system are outside of the 50-foot buffer
The
zone.
tank D-box and the infiltration trenches are all...
Yep, those are all outside the 50-foot buffer. And the grading slightly gets into the 30-foot buffer zone due to the breakout. And this was as far as we could bring the Presby toward the road without creating any grading issues. So other than that, the water line does have to be relocated due to this system. And
Is there any way to keep the grading outside of the 30? Bring
we've
it
done
up
all
to the
measures.
30.
No, there's without having a retaining wall, which would be quite more of a cost on the owner. That's the minimal breakout grading we could create. So that's one of the reasons we chose the Presby over the traditional system, which could be seen right there.
What's the grade on that slope towards the wetlands?
3 to 1, 3 to 1 slope.
Okay.
The standard, yeah. So other than that, it's repaired to a failing existing system, and we've chosen the Presby to minimize the impact on the wetlands in the buffer zone. So at this point, do you have any questions?
Any questions from the commission?
I participated in the site walk. We visited that last Saturday. There's clearly effluent on top of the ground by the house. There's also a yellow jacket nest there, so she should be careful of under the bench. And a pretty big one. And our only question was, the thing that Todd already covered about the grading, and did it have to go into the 30? And I think he addressed that, so I have no questions.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of questions. First of all, with regard to the grading, I'm wondering what kind of cost are we really talking about there? Not that that's our issue, but the question becomes, we in the past, I believe, have asked people to put some sort of small retaining wall in order to do whatever they can to stay out of that 30-foot buffer. And I don't understand, I first admit I didn't do the site walk, and I apologize for that. But I guess the question is, how far is this going into the 30-foot?
So this line right here is the 30-foot buffer zone.
Yeah.
So this is less than 5 feet into the buffer zone, for sure.
Okay, and it's not that significant.
What's the measurement you have there? Is that 25 feet from the edge of the vegetated wetland to the...
Yes. Oh, so that is 5 feet, exactly.
So it's 25 feet out.
Yeah. So this is the measurement to the erosion
And
control barrier. That's
And
the
about how much
siltation
fill will
barrier.
you be placing there?
How much what?
How
What's
much
that?
fill will you be placing there to,
I don't have an exact number on the fill.
roughly
or-
based on the contours? Is it 1 to 2 feet of fill or less?
So here it'd be like 2 to 3 feet in most
the
places.
existing conditions?
The existing.
Is it grass? Is it treed? Is it weeds?
It is mostly wooded. There are a few trees in here.
It's lightly
and-
wooded.
And it's
So it's lightly wooded, but
and-
you wouldn't have to cut a lot of trees down or anything to...
Yeah, they're gonna have to cut some trees down.
Okay, but that would be no matter what you did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would go back to my point that there is effluent on top of the ground here. There is a definite need here for a new system.
Sure.
The thing I'm worried about is that if you do a retaining wall, you're gonna have to do more elaborate work in the buffer zone. And, I mean, at the last meeting, we had talked about preserving canopy cover, and I think this is a good instance where The retaining wall would probably sacrifice more in that area. That's why I was asking you about pre-existing conditions.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
so,
Based on that, is there, I guess my concern is because you're proposing to encroach within the 30-foot no disturbance zone. Is there some treatment you could do at the toe of the slope to slow down the runoff from that system?
yeah, so we're proposing traditional loam and seed, but we've in the past, I've been told that we've been doing mulching with hay. We can propose that as one of the measures to prevent fast runoff.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I think what the chairman is referring to is permanent mitigation to stop flow, so we're thinking more of a vegetated buffer at the 12th slope. We've done it on other systems. You could probably plant some low-lying blueberry, something that would catch runoff down there.
Okay.
And reduce that velocity into the wetland is really what we're trying to do.
All right, if that's necessary, we can make that happen. It was just an additional cost onto the owner.
Mr. Chairman, I'm also concerned that we know how encroachment works, and if all of a sudden you clear those areas out, there's going to be grass, there's going to be lawn, it's going to go a little further, it's going to go a little further, the next thing you know, we're up against it.
I don't think that's going to happen
You
here.
don't think it's too
Based on the sidewalk, I don't think that's going to happen here, and I'm not in favor at all of based on what I saw, on putting up some kind of wall there.
And I think if we put some low bush blueberry down at the bottom of that slope, it would make a sufficient enough demarcation, because it's going to stand out, so.
Okay.
I think it would be sufficient enough where it would probably accomplish both goals here.
Right. My second question, Mr. Chairman, is, and my knowledge of...
That's like your fourth one, Jack.
Okay, I'll make it brief. Okay, my basic knowledge of Presby systems is that they do require a little more maintenance than the normal system, because they're one of those new types that aren't fully accepted as you walk away from it. Is there a maintenance program that these people, I know might be a Board of Health question, but it could affect our wetlands, and is there anything in there with regard to any kind of maintenance of the Presby system?
There is a maintenance program. I haven't looked very in-depth into how involved the owner will be in that process, but there is minimal maintenance to keep that system going.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, has the Board of Health approved this yet?
Yes, the Board of Health has approved it.
So if the
So
Board of
they're
Health
fine.
has already approved it, those particular concerns we have to assume under the law are addressed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could you, for our information and completion of the file, forward the maintenance requirements for the system?
Okay. Yep.
We'd like
Sure
that
do that.
before we,
We have that available.
if we sign off, we'd like that to see that before we sign off.
I would think that'd be appropriate, and we just make it part of the terms and conditions.
I'll add it into the order.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's an RDA though, isn't it?
It is.
No, it's actually, that was my mistake,
All right.
because I was in a
It's a notice of
already
intent.
the,
No, it is a
agenda, I was in
Notice of
NOI.
intent, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Well, I got back from Disney on Monday, and the first thing I had to do was get that agenda out.
All right. Any other questions, comments from the commission? Any questions or comments from the public? Seeing there are no questions, I'll accept a motion for a notice of intent with a standard order of conditions, with the caveat that the operation and maintenance requirements for the Presby system will be included in the file for our information and complete.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Chairman, do we want to have them add some low-lying
Oh,
buffer plants to the plan?
Yes, would you like to make that an amendment to the motion?
I would make that an amendment.
Why don't we just change the motion?
All right. So we have a motion amended
Yeah.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
All set?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the blueberries to the toe of the slope.
O&M and blueberries. All right. Rolling right along.
just based on
Pursuant
what
to
I
Mass
saw.
General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public meeting on a continued notice of intent by Tim Liaggio for an addition to a single-family home, a septic grading and wetland restoration on 564 Page Street. Mr. Liaggio, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
Good. I understand your engineer was unable to make the meeting today?
Correct.
We had a number of concerns and updates to that. I have not seen the updated plan yet. I know we've received it. I myself
It is on the cloud,
have not
actually.
reviewed it. Have the other commission members been able to review the,
I looked at it on the cloud.
do you have any comments, Bob,
I do
on
not.
your review?
I
Okay.
do not, and I participated in the site walk this past Saturday, and we went there. They have a dog that barks a lot. And I don't have any questions or comments on this application.
Well, my question is, did you see the dog?
No.
Okay, so Tim, is it one of those little dogs that just barks really loud like a big dog?
No, there's 3, and they're all like 100 pounds.
Really? Okay, I actually, Mr. Chairman, I actually have reviewed the literature, I've reviewed the site, I'm satisfied with everything that's been submitted to date. I'm very encouraged, I was very encouraged to begin with by the narrative that was submitted by Norse Environmental. It's just, we needed it to kind of match, we needed the plans to match the narrative, which I think has been accomplished. And that was basically it at this point. So, I mean, I'm satisfied to recommend that an order of conditions can be issued based on all of the updated plans, which I will have all the updated documentation listed in the order like I normally do. So, you know, when I write the order in a couple of weeks, you can match it.
Very good. Thank you, Matt. Any other comments from the commission? Any comments from the public? With that, I will accept a motion to issue a standard order of conditions for 564 Page Street.
So moved.
All right, Katie, I'm giving you one that one.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All set.
Very excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your work on this. Thank you very much. All right.
We might as well continue 141 while we're here.
I think by my understanding of what we discussed earlier, the rest are continuations, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Do we need to open and continue?
Yes.
We do.
Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public meeting on a continued notice of intent by Mike Nault of MJN Realty Trust for the construction of a single-family home within the buffer zone at 141 Hemlock Road. With the applicant's permission, I will accept a motion to continue this hearing until September 5th. So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
I would note that Carl and I visited the site on Saturday, and we had a hard time figuring out what was what, and, you know, we both came to this conclusion that we need to have another site walk with a representative from the applicant there.
Okay.
Actually, I spoke to the applicant this afternoon. He wanted to make sure that I got his letter okay. He will personally conduct a site tour along with the plans. The only day he can't do it is that September 1st date, which is our next site walk day, because his niece is getting married that weekend. So, any other date, he said we want to set is good. So if you guys want, I can try doing a doodle poll, and we can come up with a bunch of dates on the doodle poll and see who's good.
Anyone open a Labor Day?
I will not be around on Labor Day.
I won't be either.
I will be.
I will as well. All right, we'll discuss that via the email chain and figure out a date.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll do a doodle
Yeah.
poll.
That'll work. Very good. All right. Moving right along, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a continued public meeting on a notice of intent by the Hickory Hills Association for approval of a drawdown management plan at Hickory Hills Lake at Townsend Harbor Road. Application and supporting documents are available for review at the Conservation Commission office. All right. At the applicant's request, we're going to continue this meeting until September 5th. I will accept a motion for continuance.
Mr. Chairman, and my notes record that the meeting was actually scheduled for September 5th during the...
Actually, what it was that we put it on the agenda for tonight in case you were ready,
Oh, okay.
with the understanding that if you weren't ready, we could go to September 5th anyway.
Brilliant. Okay, good.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make that a motion that we continue to September 5th.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public meeting on a request for termination by David King for placement of a rolling dock at 667 Reservoir Road. At the request of the applicant, we are going to continue this hearing until September 5th. Is that correct, Matt? The 5th?
Yeah, I mean, basically, in working with the applicant, it's basically come up that there's a lot more that he wants to do within the buffer zone than what was on the RDA application.
Okay.
So he's agreed to fix the RDA application, re-advertise.
So we'll put it on the agenda.
And it'll be on the
if he's
agenda.
in time for the 5th.
Everything
it'll
will be up there.
All right. I'll accept a motion for continuance to September 5th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to second. All in favor?
Aye. Well, you're going
Aye.
to set a record.
I'm working on it. All right.
That was a hint, by the way, Brian. That was a hint.
Yeah.
We love you, but that was a hint.
All right. Let's get to current business. Violations, 255 Sunset Lane. What do we have going on there? Is that a drainage
Well,
issue?
Mr. Chairman, we have essentially, we gave him a deadline. We gave him two deadlines.
Yep.
One was last Saturday to get the driveway out, which he's met, and the
Yep.
other one is September 1st to complete his loaming and seeding. Since then, we've had some heavy rains, and I've actually had a former commissioner who turned in some photos to me showing a lot of erosion coming off. In looking at it, it looks like it's coming out the backside from part of his property and part of the abutter's property, heading down Fire Road
Okay.
and coming out, and it's bleeding. And according to my conversations with the owner, Mr. Harrison, he's saying that that's been going on from Fire Road 24 for a while. But it looks like he's aggravated a little bit. He told me he's been trying to work with the neighbor to go half and half on, because they own half of it, and to put gravel down, they won't agree to it, apparently.
Were you able to contact the DPW about the Fire Road? Is that under their jurisdiction?
I haven't
or is
gotten a
that private?
response yet, and
Okay.
I haven't gotten a response from the building inspector yet.
As far as I know, the fire roads are not maintained by DPW at all. I think they're privately owned and maintained.
Carl and I did a site visit there Saturday.
Yep.
After doing the site visit, I regret my vote to make them move the driveway. Because the driveway, would have went down straight, it was asphalt, and it went straight down to the street.
Sure.
And so the water coming off of the driveway would have run down the asphalt, and there wouldn't have been any opportunity for erosion for the water coming off of the driveway. Now the driveway goes out, I didn't realize Fire Road, was basically just dirt. So now the water is coming off of the asphalt, runs into the dirt road, which of course erodes.
Yep.
And I don't know who owns the Fire Road, but the erosion's in the dirt road. It's not.
Was the erosion occurring in the portion of the property closer to Sunset Lane? Or was it coming from the backside, the far side?
The slope steepens as you get closer to Sunset Lane. It goes up. When you right after you get past the driveway, it kind of levels out. So you don't get that much erosion.
I guess what I'm trying to get at, Bob, do you think that once vegetation's established, this problem will stop?
Well, I think it'll stop for the stuff coming off of his yard. I don't know if it'll ever stop, in the dirt road, unless-
I mean, at this point, the stuff in his yard is what we can concern ourselves with.
Exactly. And so,
My suggestion is that again, do a doodle poll for a site walk in the next couple of weeks, where we walk with the owner and see if we can come up with solutions for more erosion protection. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna forward.
I don't know that it rises to the level where the commission has to go back and look at it.
I can do it,
It's,
and I can forward you pictures.
because it's.
I think that's more appropriate,
I
Matt.
know the former
Yeah.
commissioner that gave me the pictures also, she also had some suggestions, which I thought were excellent.
You know, and he could have put in more straw wattles. He had straw wattles between the paved road and the yard. He didn't run them up the side of up the fire road, you know, and
Well,
there could have been.
I believe we, if I recall from the last meeting, we indicated that we wanted erosion protection along that edge of the property there.
Well, those weren't there, and those
Okay.
should be there, and to me, that's, our staff should handle that. Matt should handle that.
No, it's fine, I am staff, no
Very good.
problem. Yeah, no, I'd be more than happy to take care of
I
it.
mean, I don't think it needs a brain trust to go out there and solve this
Okay.
problem, you know, it's,
I think the applicant's been pretty responsive thus far, so I think you make your visit out there and we'll see how he reacts, and we just keep it on and get an update on the 5th.
I think he'll be, yeah, I think he'll be fine. I mean, he came in here and we said, cut the drive, he's like, okay, and he did. So, I mean, you can't ask for much more cooperation.
All right, 188 Burridge Street, what's the status?
Burridge, he's still removing, I think he's almost done removing the stuff. I'm gonna have to go out and
Okay,
do an updated check on him.
okay. I don't see the folks for 168 West Street.
They're supposed to file an RDA.
Okay,
That was what you guys had done at the last meeting. You told them, she came in, she explained everything, and you guys said file an RDA. I haven't gotten anything from her yet, so.
okay. And then Powell Stone and Gravel, Leominster Shirley Road. What do we have going on
Oh,
there?
that guy. Actually, they're here.
Yep.
So I'm Brian Marchetti with McCarty Engineering, here tonight with Steve
Welcome.
Powell, to discuss the commission's concerns with the 150, is it 151? Leominster Shirley Road site. Last year, around December or so, we met with the town planner, the building commissioner, and I believe Matt was also a part of it. The building commissioner started to review permits in town to see which ones were starting to expire, coming up, earth removal permits, conservation permits. It was all a whole bunch of different permits, and it was found that the current special permit for this property that Powell's obtained back in 2011 with David Ross Associates was no longer valid because the development plan that actually occurred wasn't what was approved on the plan. And this happened, it was an odd sequence of events. What happened, the Powells own this property. They proposed to improve this property to build a garage with parking, some detention, some pavement up through the limit out to here. And then this was going to all just sheet to the back where there were detention basins.
I'm sorry, but can you just orientate me like?
Yep. So
I know where Powell Sand and Gravel is, where the store is, and,
Yeah,
you
so-
know, and where Rip It Up Rental is. Where is this?
So where we're talking about here is the Leominster Shirley Road's here.
Yep.
Powell's retail store is right here.
Right.
The gas station's across the street.
Oh, and so this is the thing like where the weigh stations are and stuff?
Yeah,
there
so
on the left?
this is the processing yard now. So
I guess I'm thrown by the big garage there.
It was a proposed
Because there's no
garage.
building there.
yeah, so this is the plan. This is the plan. The plan that was approved back in 2011. This is what was proposed to be
Thank you
built at
so
the
much.
time.
So do the grades does this come down to like a bowl?
Yeah, so what it did, basically, this was all cut down. There was an earth removal permit
Yep.
that was obtained to cut this grade down to the grade it's at now.
Okay.
There was going to be a garage here, so his garage that's up further up in the street was going to be here. Well, as the earth removal progressed, the Powells ended up acquiring the back 20 acres. Beyond it, the storefront, Padula Brothers, so this was all permitted separately, and the development of this continued through the back, the earth removal, and it's become now, they maintain the garage up the street, and this became the stockpiling processing yard now for gravel. So, this was all the full limit of the property, including the back 20 acres, was flagged. So when the earth removal happened, everything was kept out of the buffer zones, and the development progressed to kind of what you see here. I think this is a 2017 photo. So that first plan that was approved stopped here. So basically, this was the development here.
So the areas where you have those like sheds and some trailers?
It's right here.
Yeah.
So that was all the original.
Lean-tos for your material stockpiles or?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they acquired the back portion and continued to remove dirt, and it's become their processing yard. So last year, Matt came to us saying, the permit that was obtained expires in May. We know now a different plan was built. We need to permit it properly. So we had David Ross Associates resurvey this front 10 acres. We got the survey back. We were supposed to have it all done by May when the permit expired, the order conditions expired, and realized, well, there's no point in permitting just this front 10 acres because it's a lot more. It's expanded, it's beyond. So then we had to authorize the survey of the back 20 acres. And that took until literally I got it today.
Okay.
So the permit expired. We know that. We know we're coming back to you now. I met with the Board of Selectmen last week or 2 weeks ago for the same reason. We know the earth removal permit has expired, or it's set to expire in September. We closed out this earth removal permit. I provided them the closure plan showing them the final stabilization as it is. It's all loamed and seeded. It's all vegetated, it's paved, and then this is to remain gravel, processed gravel. So they voted to close the permit, knowing that I'm coming back now for the permit for the remainder of the back 20 acres. So I'm here for the same reason. I know the permit expired now, so we can't extend it. To let you know that we are going to move forward now with permitting the site as it is today, with any modifications that we need to make now that we had Ecotech went out and reflagged all the wetlands. And the surveyor, like I said, just today came back, and I wasn't able to advance the plan because I had to leave to come here.
Before you turn the page.
Yep.
Could you just point out, where on there are our wetlands?
Yep, and the next plan shows that.
Okay,
Clear,
but I like the photo, so,
Yeah, you can orient yourself. So right here is where the stream is. It's a perennial stream
Yeah,
that runs through and along the track,
Yep.
and it ends somewhere in here.
Yep.
Ecotech's report, which we'll be providing as part of the filing, states that they recommend the perennial stream ends before it gets into the basin, the pond that's back here. I'm not a wetland scientist, so
I mean, I've walked that area when the railroad did work out there. I can understand and go along with that one.
So, so the limit of the wetlands is right here around the bank of the perennial stream. It continues through here to the back, and then it surrounds this open basin that's back here, as well as there's a wetland in here. So where you see the shape of the cut in here basically is the 100-foot buffer zone to that, with the exception in here where we're close to the 30-foot no touch. So those,
that basin in the back, is that a natural feature? Is that the result of an old gravel operation?
I don't know the history of that. I would guess it's part of Keating's.
That's off your property?
Yes.
Yeah, it's off.
That's on Keating's property.
Yeah.
I'd have to agree with your assertion on that one. From looking at, I mean, I've looked at it in the past, and that's what I always thought. It looks like it was dug out.
There's still an abandoned pit adjacent to it. You can
Yeah,
see
in
it.
here,
Yeah.
and there are access roads coming down to it in the backside of it, so it does appear to be a basin or an open cut. So, like I said, I just received a survey today, this afternoon, so I wanted to get at least the buffer zone lines on there, so you can see where we're at. It was a draft. They weren't able to put the tree lines and the limits of disturbance and really define it for me. But you can see here, this is the scale house. This is what's currently paved. These are the two covered garages where there's, I think, loam and sand stockpiled in here. The trailers are right here. And the red line, so you can see the wetland line is the inside line here. The riverfront line here, the bank line expands to the wetlands through here. And around the backside, this is where the pond is, over here. And these are all the stockpiles. So right now, there's sand stockpiles, loam stockpiles. There's the reclaimed asphalt and concrete back here that they pulverize and reuse to make into new fill material. So, and the compost area is down in here. So the site is going to continue for, the future to remain a gravel processing yard. The intent is going to be, now that we have actual grades, to grade the whole thing right now to contain the stormwater inside. Right now, most of it all drains to the middle in here. It all drains to the middle in here, and then down in here where they've excavated a small depression or basin that collects water before it runs off. It makes everything simpler.
So the stockpile yard, you're bringing gravel from other sites in and around?
They bring it in, process it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have a pit in Winchton and Westminster.
Mhm.
The trucks are coming back, they bring stuff, and then we bring it off the job sites to
Mhm.
reprocess it.
Is the intent to keep the gravel removal permit for that piece of property open? Or is everything, they don't want you
In a
to?
perfect world, it's easier for me to do that. Seeing there's really.
Are you removing any more, so you're not removing any more gravel from there?
So they've asked us to open a permit.
Sure.
And basically close it. So the pals have removed gravel out of here. We cut earth, I think the bylaw's 10 yards or something like that in town if you're removing anything more than that. So clearly there's been 10 yards of material moved on the property. So we're gonna get this plan now developed to, one of the benefits is that the survey is the proposed plan, and we'll make adjustments where we have to. Like right now, this Hall Road, where they come in, this is the 30-foot no disturb buffer zone, the inside line here. So the Hall Road runs along the edge of it. Some of the grades in here pitch one way or the other, so there's runoff toward it. There is erosion controls that were installed way back. They're still out there. So the pals will be regrading and fixing things now to contain stormwater. Part of this, and I know I've had a discussion with Matt, is gravel processing operation is a industrial process. So in order to, I don't want to say avoid a long-term industrial stormwater permit, if we contain the stormwater on site, there's no need for that permit. There's no need for effluent monitoring and sampling and reporting requirements per the
It's one of the
federal
big
permit.
exemptions spelled out in the
Yes.
EPA stormwater program.
Yeah. Which was the intent to begin with, and we'll be moving forward with that process.
So I guess my question is, when will you be ready to come before us for a meeting? Would the middle of September be
That's,
reasonable?
my goal is, now that I have the survey, so I was supposed to have the survey a few weeks ago, the surveyor's equipment, he found that
It's a big site, it's a lot to get on plans
it was
and get it
done,
done
he
right.
couldn't get the property lines to tie out, and he found out his equipment had a bust, so
Okay.
he had to send the equipment out to get it serviced. Trust me. So,
You bought him a new total station, I'm sure.
so he's got it back, the property line's tied out, so we have it now.
If I may. The reason for the enforcement order was in talking to the chair. He felt it was prudent to issue the enforcement order, just reviewing the history, just to memorialize the timeline. I must stress that, Mr. Marchetti and Mr. Powell have been very cooperative as far as updating me on the progress and moving along. What I'm recommending is that they file the notice of intent. We have the public hearing, the commission sees fit to issue whatever order it issues, we would issue that, and then after that is approved, we would have to issue a certificate of compliance invalidating his prior file, because this new file would supersede the old one. It's the cleanest way to do it.
I agree.
Steve, that last pile over there, you mentioned, or Ron,
In here up
you
top.
mentioned, it right down here, you mentioned that was compost?
Yeah,
And
it's Topsoil and compost.
Okay, yeah, and it looks like all the water is moving down from that area, down towards that stream bed, and you got a compost bin there, and is there any chance that any of that could be getting into the stream at all?
It hasn't up to date. I
Even
mean,
after all this crazy rain?
No, and it's, knock on wood,
Yeah.
it's all sand and gravel. I mean, it's a good situation because everything hits and.
It goes right through, so there's nothing draining.
And I would just,
Okay.
quickly remind Commissioner Rabbit that the site is graded, so that...
Well,
Oh, okay, Jack, I'm just reminding you that the site is being graded so that everything stays on site.
Yeah.
And what is not graded now will be.
Okay.
The plan is to reshape this, to keep this stormwater
Just as you
inside.
described, it was working its way down, that's what.
And I agree with you.
That's
That is what the
it's an
topography
excellent
shows.
observation, Jack.
And there is a bowl, so right here, there's a bowl where they built a basin
Okay,
for the stormwater to go. And this is straight gravel and sand out here. It goes. When it hits the ground, it doesn't really stick around.
It's a good observation, Jack, and I was just highlighting that they are going to address that concern by, shaping it so that everything stays on site.
I trust you.
He's not going anywhere.
We know where he lives.
Yeah, it is obvious.
So I have the plan now. Yes, I'd love to have this done and back before you within a month.
Okay,
You know.
so,
I don't want to give you a date. Let me get it designed and developed, and I'm hoping in September, this is where we'll be.
can we commit to a meeting? I mean, I'm,
Second meeting in September?
the second meeting would be the
It would be the 19th.
19th of September?
When would I have to file by? Because isn't that usually 2 weeks before that, so we're losing another couple weeks, so,
You're talking about you'd have to file by the 4th.
yeah.
The other one would be the 3rd of October, and you'd have to file by the 19th or whatever, or the.
I think we can commit to that.
Okay.
I'd rather do that.
Yeah, you'd have to file by the 18th of September.
That's fine, yeah. That's a month. It gives me a month. I think that's doable.
Okay, so with your agreement, I will accept a motion to defer action on the enforcement order, provided that a notice of intent is filed and a hearing is held by October 3rd, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, guys.
And we do have to go to planning for the special permit, not a special permit, it's just a site plan approval for this and Board of Selectmen, so. that's
It's
what
a
we have all
process.
three. It's a process, but it's going to be the same plan for all three. so it should be.
I happened to be at the Board of Selectmen meeting last night, and they had a workshop on the sand and gravel bylaw.
They need one. They need to guide a little bit. Right.
No, I really
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank you.
everything you've done, Brian. I really do.
Good job.
Move it along as fast as we can.
No, it's understandable, but I mean, you've been up to date with everything, so I mean, the communication I appreciate more than anything.
Thank you. You want to talk about 155 Reservoir Road as well?
No. Nope, I'll bring that up at another meeting.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good night. There is something I do want to talk to you about tomorrow, though.
I have owners and the butters calling me left and right about that.
Oh, yeah, so do I. But there is one situation that's arisen that I'm going to bring up at the next meeting that I want to talk to you about tomorrow. All right.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you. All right, proposed Eagle Scout project.
Ken, have you been in touch with that Eagle Scout?
I have. There's an Eagle Scout that's interested in doing well, he's not an Eagle Scout, he's going for his potential Eagle Scout. And he'd like to do his project on a piece of conservation land. And between Matt and I, we've sort of steered him towards the property at 123 Hollis Road. I'm actually meeting with him tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And he is interested in doing some trail improvement, maintenance, and marking of trails up there. So that's in the works, and hopefully will be taking place this fall. I'm not sure what his timeline is, but I'll keep the commission updated.
All right. Rob's Hill Management update.
Gary Goldrup is finishing up the draft. Do we want to have him come at the next meeting to present it, or the meeting after? Maybe the first meeting in October?
Matt, just a quick question. Has he been out marking timber already?
Yes, he has.
Okay.
I've been getting a ton of calls from abutters over there wondering what the marking was for.
Yeah, I'd like to, I haven't seen the markings, but I've had a couple of people comment. So I'd like to see his plan, and then maybe we can get out and and do some, either a site visit or a walkabout with him.
I was gonna say, did you want to do the site visit before having him come in?
I'd like him to attend the site visit with us.
Well, that's what I was kind of
Yeah.
figuring, but I wasn't sure whether or not you want to do the visit
I
first,
think,
meeting
well,
after.
if he can get the plan out, or you can get the plan out to us prior to the site visit, I would
I'd
be
like to
more-
target the 2nd in September, if we could.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Yeah, no, that's easy enough.
Yeah, but if you can get the plan out, we can review it, and then, so we have seen it before we go out in the field.
Okay.
All right, land exchange on Gilcrest, updates on that. The letter was issued from Chairman Birch that provided the commission's support of potential land exchange on the Gilcrest property, and 3 commission members were able to attend
As citizens, not
as
commissioners.
citizens, the Board of Selectmen meeting, and we are actually able to make public comment despite the objections of Selectman Adams. The rest of the board saw fit to hear our support for the project, which I think was good because it allowed the community to see, understand the Conservation Commission's support and why we do support that land exchange. Any other comments on land exchange on Gilcrest?
Matt, do you know what the result of that meeting was, or? are you
No.
Privy to that?
Haven't heard anything.
Okay. So hopefully we'll hear something about that soon.
I would just go back to Rob Sill for a moment. I just want to reiterate that before I personally vote for, to authorize another cutting plan, I want to see us have an actual plan to remediate the rest of the stuff on the small town forest. I just don't think we should be, executing additional cutting plans without finishing the first one. And to me, the first one's not finished. We have no parking, we have no gate, we haven't cleared the trail, so.
That's fine.
Agree.
That works.
Is there, Bob, to build on your point, where are we on that in terms of the gate, I know we're even going to try and put flowers down, spray flowers in and things like that. Is there anything moving on that at all?
Well, I mean, the last time we spoke about it, when I spoke with the chairman, we had gone to DCR to get their specifics on the gates. And I did get specs on the gates, and they build their own gates.
I think that, at a meeting, I sort of volunteered to do that, and I will admit that I've dropped the ball on it. That is something that I will come through on, and at least get a plan to 1 or 2 welders and get a price or two to see what it's gonna be. Sure.
What about the hydro seeding and parking lot grading?
I haven't been able to secure any quotes.
Okay. I think if we can get that done this season, I think it would be behoove us to try and finish that up before year's end.
Yeah.
So we might want to refocus some of our efforts on trying to push those.
I agree.
Push those forward.
We can get some growing in before the winter hits, that would be really good. I'll bring my tractor.
Okay. Apparently, we have no certificates of compliance. Is that correct?
Well, for the next meeting.
Okay.
I got them in late. People were
Mr.
finally-
Chairman, to our agent, have we signed off on Unitil yet, or are we still waiting on that?
No, we're still waiting for a site walk.
Okay, all right.
No extension, permit extensions are
Nothing requested,
this week. Minutes for the previous meeting and review and approval of August 1st.
I also passed out the special meeting that we did on the regulation review, however brief those minutes were.
Yep.
If you guys want to wait till the next meeting so you have a chance to digest those and then come back.
I think that makes sense.
Good. That would be good.
That was going to be my suggestion as well. Thanks, Matt.
If you recall, at the last meeting, there was the approval of a set of minutes on the agenda, and no one wanted to take the time to look at them, so we didn't act on them, and I don't see them on tonight's agenda. So we also have...
We're talking about the meeting from the 27th?
I don't remember the date, but I do remember it was on the last agenda. We had a copy, I had a marked up copy, and we passed over it.
That would have been the 27th.
So,
So why don't we try and get all the outstanding minutes on the next agenda, and and all the commissioners, I'm sure, will be diligent in reviewing the minutes and.
So we'll have 4 set of minutes by the next meeting.
Well, you'll have 3 to approve. I'll pass out the 4th, and you can review that and do it at the next meeting, which will probably be better because of the way the town council's asked us to handle it now. I can't give it to you until the night of the meeting,
Okay.
so.
Can we do August 1st tonight, though, or not?
I think that's a pretty complicated meeting.
That was the one you wanted to hold off on?
I wanted to hold off on that one. I'd be open to doing the June 16th special.
I move we approve the minutes of June 16th as published.
Second?
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Minutes of June 16th are approved.
Okay, so we got the other 2. You're going to notice on the August 1st meeting, because we did roll call votes, after every vote, I put a parenthetical reference that the vote was roll call because the chairman was participating remotely. Because if you recall,
Yep.
Todd, you did roll call votes on every one, so
I
I made
recall
sure to...
very vividly.
Yeah.
Having to do a roll call on.
Yeah, so
Every
I
meeting.
made sure to, people that voted yes and no, I itemized those to let know who voted yes, who voted no.
Yep.
Check those over to make sure I didn't transplant any of you. And again, I made the parenthetical reference for clarity's sake
Very good.
and emphasis.
Any committee reports? Stormwater,
Nothing recent.
open space?
I was not able to attend the last open space meeting, and I won't be attending this month's open space meeting because I have my grandchildren here that night.
I
so-
did submit the Architectural Access Board requirements for
ADA?
ADA. I did submit the manual that they asked for the literature. And so I submitted the actual manual that the state uses for trails and parking along trails. And I also submitted my recommendations on what should be reviewed at this time for this cycle on open space.
And I would just remind the commission that we're down to 1 representative on open space, and we're entitled to 2.
Yeah, and they've been asking us to appoint another member. Is there anybody else that wants to do it, Jack?
You want me divorced? No, I'm doing a lot of traveling lately.
When are the meetings?
They are on Wednesday nights.
I thought,
They were Tuesdays, I thought.
no, I kind of remember that Chairman Birch indicated he may have an interest in joining the open space committee.
All right, well then why don't I talk to him again about it?
Okay.
Yeah, he's been attending the meetings,
Yeah,
so.
I will talk to him.
we can nominate him.
I thought he was on it already. All those
Yeah,
in
no,
favor of Rich being on it?
Yeah, let's talk to him, because I think that would
Before we nominate him, I think we should make sure.
give him a courtesy. All right, agents, report and action items. My understanding is there's nothing real pressing, so we can table this to the next meeting?
Yeah, everything's pretty much status quo right now.
Okay.
Vacation kind of interrupted a lot of stuff, so.
Any other announcements from?
I just would express my frustration that we have got no progress on 842 Chase Road rear. It just seems like it's been a long time.
And that's specifically that we're waiting for the 21E study to come back?
No, the
No, that's
21E
done.
No, 21E is fine. It's in legal review.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was the last communication I got from Heather. I believe it was in legal and title review.
All right. There's no other comments from the commission. Are there any comments from the public? No comments from the public. I will accept a motion to adjourn.
Okay, Bob. You
You have to make the motion first. Oh, did I make?
You made the motion.
Yeah. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.